learned a lot. Audience on the front row to introduce themselves. I don't know that we have a mic. We don't have. Okay, fair enough. I told you we can just talk. We are afraid of COVID. Let's start with the Solicitor General. So introduce yourself. I'm sure we're close enough. Can you please proceed?
Can I be your Solicitor General? Inspector General of Police.
Sherry Kamal, PS Foreign Affairs.
Jackie Bishop, PS Ministry of Interior.
Jerome Chen, PS Ministry of ICT, Innovation and Youth Affairs.
Ibrahim Mohammed, Principal Secretary, Ministry of Defense.
Solomon Kitu, Principal Secretary, State Department of Transport.
Thank you. So, Minister, we have a huge team of the technical colleagues who have also been working together in the team. Our relationship has evolved very strong on this matter. We're very close to one another. The High Commission in Nairobi is very helpful and forthcoming and continued engagement on this security comeback, and I believe we'll continue to work that way. Before we start our program this morning, I can invite you to make some remarks.
Of working together, and I've seen it deepen and produce great results over those 4 or 5 years now as it is now. So I want to thank you for all the effort in the security dialogue, but also the agreement we're signing today, the compact. I think it is a really good piece of work from both sides, and I'm very grateful for my team, and I'm grateful to your officials as well for producing it. The United Kingdom not only believes Kenya is a very strong partner to have in the security and defence field. We think that your influences and your role in the region is really, really important for the region. And it is in both our interests to make sure that some of the neighbours that you have don't pose a threat either to yourselves or to the stability, and working together I think has been really, really important. At the same time, the threat from Al-Shabaab to both our interests and indeed the wider national interest and international interest is something that cannot be ignored, should be ignored. And I know that the United Kingdom was alongside you very early on and will continue to be so. The ideology behind Al-Shabaab, their ambitions, their aggressive nature, their terrorist nature, enjoy working with you, but also we enjoy the results that we get together in combating that. So I hope that this is another plank, another brick in the wall of the work we're doing on deepening the relationship and broadening it. And I'm here also to explore in my capacity as Secretary of State for Defence for the United Kingdom what more partnering we can do with Kenya's defence as well and armed forces to counter Al-Shabaab and other issues around both regionally and in the country. And that's another plank I'm looking forward to laying down and working closely with. So if I could ask my team to introduce themselves on the front row, and then we can obviously back on to your hands if possible. So from the left, please.
Adam Coulson, Sub-Saharan Africa Security Policy from the Ministry of Defence.
David Morgan, Private Secretary to the Defence Secretary.
Jane Marriott, High Commissioner. Anna Waters, Counter-Terrorism and Extremism Lead for Sub-Saharan Africa.
Bob Fairweather, UK Special Envoy for Sudan, South Sudan.
Peter Quentin, Special Advisor to the Defence Secretary.
Thank you so much, Minister. I was told about this. So let me invite Colonel to proceed with this.
Thank you very much, sir. Welcome to Kenya Counterterrorism CVE and the Northeastern Threat Squad. The Al-Shabaab radical threat remains Kenya's key security priority area, and military participation in AMISOM, which has substantially degraded the threat. The design of Kenya's CT strategy has targeted the radical pillars and its center of gravity to undermine its survival The main targeted areas in degrading the radical threat has focused on three major fronts, which includes the leadership of the radicals, its support systems, which is exploiting vulnerabilities and opportunities at grassroots level. Also, the CT strategy has provided, among new provisions, the multi-agency engagements and international partner synergies. This has accelerated the prosecution of many CT operations and information sharing engagements. On the current threat, the Al-Shabaab threat has turned to be a composite threat comprising of jihadi militancy, which has reinforced by a well-defined ideological content supporting its moral fiber. One of the radical accelerators in prosecuting and expanding of its operation space are attributed to the weakening of Somali federal state members, particularly the Galmud region in central Somalia and Jubaland regions of Kapedo. The fairly challenged radical ideological era continues to pull adherents to its fold, owing to a robust supported media publication synergy by global jihadi networks, the likes of
government and colleagues from the United Kingdom. I take this opportunity, first of all, on behalf of my colleagues, to say how grateful I am on behalf of the government and the people of Kenya for the strong relations that exist between Kenya and the United Kingdom. We've just signed this morning Security Compact, which outlines a broad range of areas of collaboration between Kenya and the UK. And let me take this opportunity again to say thank you very much to your government for your continued support and collaboration with us. We've worked together on a wide range of things relating to capacity building, information sharing, and collaboration in tackling some of the security challenges we face in this region. We work together very closely in tackling some of our regional challenges. And now, this year, we are jointly members of the UN Security Council. We have also discussed our areas of priority and how we are going to work together to deal with peace building in the region, counter-terrorism, and ensuring that we all help each other strengthen ourselves and our resilience in the face of climate change, and how that affects security within our country and the region. We are grateful, and I pledge on behalf of my colleagues that we will continue to work together to not only secure our people, but to make sure that this region remains safe for all the people of this region. We understand the unique challenges of the environment in which we operate, and we have appreciated those realities this morning and agreed broadly on the plans that we have to tackle those challenges together. So once again, thank you very much for the resources that you have committed and the resources that you continue to place in this relationship. And we will continue to work together, as I agreed this morning, to strengthen our security in our country and security in the region. And we will continue to do the projects that we are working on together to support the general security in the Eastern Africa region and the Horn of Africa. Mr. Minister, please, you're welcome to make some remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. Thank you, Dr. That's better. Right. Not sure it's... Are we off? Now it's... Right. I first came here about 4 years ago as United Kingdom Security Minister, and over 2 years ago you and I met in London to do the first part of the security dialogue. As was said in the meeting, Kenya is the standard bearer in this region for shared values that the United Kingdom and Kenya shared, the rule of law, democracy and security. And being that standard bearer, it's important that friends and allies support you in the task ahead. It's important that when we face
the common threat of Al-Shabaab, that we work together to defeat that, both here in Kenya, but also in the United Kingdom and through the international community, and indeed through the UN in Somalia. I think it's important that the United Kingdom stand side by side with Kenya in standing up for its values, for democracy, and working with Kenya to make sure that its neighbours follow a similar path, because Britain and Kenya not only go way back, we also in today share those values and share the same threats. And I'm absolutely delighted that 4 years on from when I first came here, we are both delivering on strengthening our offer to the region and strengthening the offer to each other to work together to defeat both terrorism but also uphold the shared common values that make us stand out. And I really look forward to working with Kenya in the United Nations Security Council, where you have taken your seat, and I think there's some really exciting times ahead.
We'll have an opportunity for 2 questions. If I could just see 2 hands, and we'll call it. Yes, please. That's one, and the other, we'll just take them both together. Are there any other questions? Okay, please go ahead.
My name is Desmond Tiro from the Associated Press. So fighting has broken out between the Kenyan border and the Somalian borders, and the Information Ministry in Somalia is accusing the Kenyan forces of going into Somalia to fight against the forces from Somalia. So what is your plan as the Kenyan government to deal with this?
We are not at war with anybody, and our forces have not crossed the border to fight anybody. We are not involved in any conflict with any one of our neighbors. I am not aware of that. We are in constant touch with colleagues, and we in the security discuss this all the time. I am not aware of any forces having crossed the border to Somalia or to any one of our neighboring countries. We understand the character of the other side of the border. Yeah, as I said, we understand there's a conflict on the other side of the border, but it's a conflict internal to Somalia. It has nothing to do with us. We are not involved in it, and none of our forces have crossed the border to go over to Somalia. So I do not know what they are referring to, but you can take this to the bank. We are not involved in that. That's a conflict that is internal to Somalia.
Okay. Are there any other questions? I'll allow that last question.
Thank you, Minister. Zainab Ismail here from NTV. So just 2 questions. With regards to the same question asked by my colleagues, do you say that at this point there is no security threat along the border of Somalia and Kenya? And second, maybe you can just give us an update on the situation in Kapedo in Turkana East. We understand that humanitarian agencies say at this point there's an issue with the agencies reaching the affected areas. Maybe just give us an idea of really the situation there.
Those are 2 different questions. I said earlier about our border with Somalia. I am not aware of any unusual threat or unusual situation on our border with Somalia, because borders across the world, borders between countries have got their own challenges. That's why we maintain security infrastructure within the borders, so that we are able to manage any activities that may endanger the security of our country. As at the moment, and as I speak to you right now, I'm not aware of any unusual threat to our internal security arising from any engagement or any interaction between ourselves and Somali. The challenge that we face, that we deal with all the time, that we have spoken about very openly, that everyone knows, is the challenge we face from Al-Shabaab and incursions that Al-Shabaab makes into our territory, sometimes from Somalia on that border. We are prepared, we have deployed, we have resources on that side, and we are dealing with it. And our deployment and work in the northeastern part of our country is very clear. We are totally in control. We are present in that territory of our country. We are not experiencing any problem. So I'm not aware of any unusual challenge on that border other than the incursions of Al-Shabaab elements from Somalia. On Kapedo, I said last week that and I will speak very candidly about this. I said last week that the challenge we've had in that part of our country is one that has persisted for a long time, because truth be told, for the Kenyan citizens who are here, we have postponed that problem for a long time. It manifests itself as a cat rustling problem, but clearly it's a criminal activity that is supported by some groups of people in that region. We have decided as government, we are not going to postpone that problem again. We will sort it out once and for all. And I've made it very clear when the leaders of that region came to see me last week, I told them that we will sustain the operation in that area until we get all the criminals out. We are going to disarm the people who are there. It is a responsibility of government to behave that way. I am not aware of any humanitarian crisis in that part of our country. We have maintained all our security teams on the ground. Those are our citizens. We are dealing with them, we are helping them. We are only ridding them of the criminals that have made life miserable to them. And we are going to work in that manner until we sort out that problem. We are not going to postpone it again. Those of you who are here understand this. And let me speak to you again, very frankly, on this matter. A few years ago, those thugs killed 42 of our police officers. Then later on, they killed 21 of our police officers. Then recently, they murdered more police officers. We cannot continue to play hide and seek with criminals. And we are not going to continue that monkeying around. We have to sort that problem out now and forever. And we are going to do it. So we are not going to postpone it. In the past, when it has happened, we have an interaction between our security forces and the criminals in that area. Then we have a brief discussion amongst ourselves and say, okay, let's now be buddy-buddies again. And 7 months later, they murder more police officers. Now we must get every one of them out. And we must go in there and collect all the guns that are there. I am issuing, like I said, notice shortly extending curfew hours in Kapedo, and I'm going to designate it as a special operation area, and we'll maintain a curfew there between 6 and 6 in the evening, so that we can do all the work that we need to do there and complete it. We are not going to postpone that problem again and tell stories by meeting with leaders and lying to each other. Everyone knows what the problem in that part of our country is. And now we are determined to resolve it once and for all. And we will remain there until that problem is sorted out. So if anyone has any issues or knows anything that I do not know, of course we are government. We are your government. We are available to answer questions or to respond to whatever issues you raise. But we also need to tell you very candidly, we are tired of that kind of game. And now we have to resolve it once and for all. And it's not a lie about cat rustling. It is criminal activity that is funded, sometimes supported by local leaders. And when I meet with some of our security people later in the week, I'm going to even explain it more. And I'm going to make more information available to the media about what we are doing and how we are going about this. Thank you.
That will be all. Thank you, Waziri. I think we can leave now. Asanteni.
Yeah.